Little known fact, we are currently in an Olympic figure skating season. I know that your local sport affiliate will put together some beautiful, inspiring videos like the week before the Milano Cortina Olympics start. But those will probably be centered on your national representatives. And I want to empower you to choose for yourself who you want to root for. Hi, I'm a person who figure skates and also watches a lot of figure skating. Let's get started. Kaori Sakamoto of Japan is a 3-time consecutive world champion and currently second in the world to Alyssa Liu. Kaori was the first woman to three-peat the women's world title since the United States' Peggy Fleming, and is a 6-time Japanese national champion. This is probably a good time to quickly catch you up on what's been happening with the women's podium at the Winter Olympics. You may or may not already be aware, but Russian women have been at the top of the Olympic podium for the last 3 Winter Olympics. Now, I'm not saying these women weren't incredible athletes, or they weren't deserving in any way, but I do want to point out that every single one of these gold medals was mired in controversy. 2014, in Sochi, Russia, Adelina Sotnikova won with a monster score 22 points higher than her next best international score, with an otherwise unremarkable skate, beating the previous title holder, Yuna Kim. After the Sochi Olympics concluded, Russian systemic state-sponsored doping at the Games came to light, and the International Olympic Committee stripped Russia of 51 of their Olympic medals. I believe Sotnikova was investigated, but cleared. 2018, in Pyeongchang, South Korea, Alina Zagitova won by just 1 point over her Russian teammate Evgenia Medvedeva by putting all her major jump passes in the second half of her free skate, adding a vital 10% bonus to each element. This controversial method was outlawed after the Olympics, limiting the number of jumps that receive the point bonus in favor of more balanced programs. Which is to say, programs that are enjoyable to watch, beginning to end. 2022 in Beijing, China. The 2022 Olympics, with their empty arenas, masked podiums, and overall air of unease, are about as far from normal as you can get. The Russian athletes were at their second Winter Olympics under a neutral flag. This is foreshadowing. But they were dominating the senior women's circuit with more quad jumps than we had ever seen in competition before. The favorite to win gold was Kamila Valieva, a 15-year-old new to seniors who had already set new world records in international competition earlier that season. The problem is that during the Olympics, a drug test that Kamila had taken 2 months earlier after she won the Russian national title tested positive for a banned heart medication, as well as 2 other medications that would greatly improve her endurance. Because she was 15, she was considered a minor, and it was determined that removing her from the event would cause irreparable harm. So she continued to compete in the women's singles events despite being under active investigation. She did not skate the same after the news broke, and her results in all events were nullified after the fact. So Anna Sherbakova won in 2022, seemingly shell-shocked in the kiss and cry, while both her teammates had very public breakdowns. Which brings me back to Kaori Sakamoto, the 2022 Olympic bronze medalist and the only happy person on the women's podium. It's safe to say Kaori is an incredible skater. She has power, musicality, and a lot of personality that shines on the ice. She has been competing on the senior circuit since 2017, has skated at 2 Olympics, and has announced that this is her last competitive season. Having the joyful and often silly Kaori Sakamoto as our world champion the last few years has been healing for the sport. Your world champion can really set the tone for the way all levels of competitors approach their craft and the way they treat each other. Post-Beijing Olympics, I feel like I have seen skaters be more openly supportive of one another, and in an increasingly divisive climate, maybe that is something we all need to see right now. I know I will miss Kaori's huge reactions to her scores, superior athleticism, and the strength of her good humor, even when things are falling apart around her. If you're someone who loves to watch a seasoned professional do their last big job, Kaori Sakamoto is your skater. Which brings me to our current world champion, Alyssa Liu of the United States. Alyssa has such an iconic sports story. Like Kaori, Alyssa was at the 2022 Beijing Olympics, as well as medaled at the 2022 World Championships, and decided she had seen enough. At 16 years old, and at that point a two-time national champion, she posted to Instagram that she had accomplished all her figure skating goals and wanted to live a normal life. And she did. She totally disappeared from the figure skating world for 2 years. She went to concerts, hung out with her friends, and stayed up late. But when she started at UCLA, she got the itch to be back on the ice. Alyssa popped up in the Challenger Series last year, and it was obvious she was enjoying the sport in a way she hadn't before. It's hard to put into words the magnetic quality her skating has now. I believe there's something special Alyssa is bringing to each performance that I am not necessarily seeing on her competitors. Alyssa is so interesting to me because she has such a silly, goofy vibe in interviews, practice, and even in warm-ups. And then she'll be crying in her post-performance vows. I think she's just brimming with emotion, and it feels very natural to root for someone who is so genuine, so authentic, so themselves, both on and off the ice. I was lucky enough to be at the 2025 World Championships when Alyssa won the title, and I think being in the arena taught me one really important thing. The judges are in the same room as the audience. In other sports, this might be called home court advantage. Nevertheless, you can see some aspect of it happening at every Grand Prix and championship. The skaters who are eliciting the strongest response from the audience are very likely to see that reflected in their scores. And with the Milano Cortina Olympics happening in Italy, we should move on to Lara Naki-Gutman of Italy. Lara is an 8-time medalist at the Italian National Championships, as well as a regular top 10 finisher at Euros. She is a wonderful, expressive skater, but I think compared to Kaori and Alyssa, Lara is going to be considered more of a dark horse. She was at the 2022 Olympics, but only in the team event. She has participated in the Grand Prix series, but she usually isn't on the podium. She's doing everything right. She's just not getting scores that are high enough to be competitive with the other women we've been talking about. What I think Lara Naki-Gutman excels at is theming her programs. Her utter commitment to both the music and the finer details makes her programs refreshing. This year, she has a Jaws-themed free skate that is such a delight to watch. It's so different from everything else you are seeing on the ice that it would be difficult for me to not recommend her. It's a little surprising to me, but Lara might not be the only woman in Milan to benefit from a home field advantage. Isabeau Levito of the United States is a 3-time U.S. national medalist, the 2024 World Silver medalist, and the 2022 World Junior champion. Her mother is from Milan, and Isabeau speaks English, Russian, and Italian. I think when Alyssa Liu retired, Isabeau sort of stepped right into her place. She won bronze at the US Nationals in 2022, and then gold in 2023 at the age of 16. She had a really strong string of seasons from 2021 to 2024, but she struggled with a foot injury last season. Isabeau Levito is charisma personified. When she is on, you can really feel it. She has this light and graceful style that could be boring on other skaters, but Isabeau manages to make it compelling. If you watch enough figure skating, you'll pick up on a pattern. Younger skaters who experience a lot of success very quickly start to struggle with the mounting pressure to improve. The added expectation can often lead to injury or burnout. I feel like that is what happened to Isabeau during the 24-25 season. She is a strong, capable competitor with all the tools she needs to succeed. She just might be a little too in her own head. Which I say as a figure skater who is a little too in their own head. Game recognizes game. Isabeau was not the only major competitor who struggled last season with injury, though. Luna Hendricks of Belgium flourished on the Grand Prix circuit once the Russian athletes were banned in 2022 following the invasion of Ukraine. Don't get me wrong, Luna was a strong competitor before that. She competed at both the 2022 and 2018 Olympics. She is a 5-time Belgian national champion and a 2-time world medalist. But if you take a look at the European Championships wiki, you see that her serious competition was suddenly MIA. If Isabeau skates like a ballerina on ice, I'd say Luna skates like a contemporary dancer. She chooses music we don't see other skaters using, pulls off some really interesting choreography, and she knows how to make her case to the judges. However, she withdrew from most of her competitions last season and had to have major surgery on her ankle in February of 2025. In order to secure her spot for the 2026 Olympics, Luna had to compete at the Olympic qualifying event in September, and when she showed up, fans hadn't seen her perform in over a year. The competition was intense, and there were only 5 spots to win. Despite the immense pressure, Luna won bronze at the event and qualified for Milan. She also won bronze at NHK Trophy, so she has it in her to be a serious competitor at her 3rd Olympics. She changed her short program mid-season, and I think she is going to shine with the new Celine Dion program. Chaeyoung Kim of the Republic of Korea started skating in 2017 at the age of 10 and was the world bronze medalist in 2024. I don't know if 7 years is enough to become 3rd in the world in other sports, but in figure skating, that is crazy work. Kaori and Luna were both at the 2018 Olympics, for goodness sakes. Anyway, I really like Chaeyoung. She has great jump height and speed and moves with fluidity. I was a huge fan of her Tron program last season, and I genuinely love that her mother makes all her competition dresses. Going into the 2025 World Championships, it looked like Chaeyoung had a real chance at being world champion. She just secured her first national title and had an incredible showing at 4 continents just a month before. But at Worlds, something wasn't quite right. She didn't skate a clean short program like she had been doing all season, and her free skate also had some unexpected issues. Well, it turns out she was in a car accident just days before she left for the competition, and was still recovering. This season has been better, but I feel like she is still working her way back to the top skaters. And I wish her the best. South Korea has 2 spots in women's singles this Olympics, and it's possible the 2nd spot will go to Jia Shin of the Republic of Korea. Jia is a 4-time junior world silver medalist. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why stay in juniors long enough to be a world silver medalist 4 times? Well, it all ties back to what I mentioned earlier. After the IOC ruled that Kamila Valieva was too young to be held accountable at the 2022 Beijing Olympics, the International Skating Union decided a rule change was in order. Over several years, the age limit for senior skaters was raised from 15 to 17 as a means of safeguarding skaters' physical, mental, and emotional health. Skaters that spend more time on the junior circuit are more likely to train with longevity in mind. The additional time also allows them to refine their style and presentation before debuting at the senior level. And we see this change really emphasized in skaters like Jia Shin. Jia had a strong senior debut, medaling at both challengers she participated in this fall, and she fell squarely in the middle of the pack at both of her Grand Prix assignments, which I would consider a very healthy and normal senior debut. Figure skating benefits from athletes who have long careers. People at home want to root for someone with a story, or a person they recognize, or a name they've heard before. And watching this sport feels better when you know these young women are not breaking their bodies or pushing themselves to the emotional breaking point when you see them in competition. Which brings me to our final skater, Wakaba Higuchi of Japan. Wakaba is a 6-time Japanese national medalist, a world silver medalist, a Grand Prix medalist many times over, and an Olympian. In fact, Wakaba was right off the Olympic podium in 2022, in 4th place, behind her teammate Kaori Sakamoto. Wakaba is known for her gorgeous double axel, innate musicality, and expressive step sequences. You mind if I sit down for this one? All skaters are required to compete with certain components in their programs. For example, all competitive senior women's short programs are required to have a double or a triple axel, a triple jump, a jump combination consisting of a double jump and a triple jump, or 2 triple jumps, a flying spin, a layback/sideways leaning spin, or sit or camel spin without change of foot, a spin combination with only 1 change of foot, and a step sequence, fully utilizing the ice surface. Because of the energy required to execute jumps and spins, one of the last components skaters do is their step sequence. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of skaters make the step sequence feel like it is just another box to be checked in competition. But not Wakaba. Every season, every program, her step sequence is incredible. She is not just checking a box. She's making every moment on the ice count. Between you and me, this whole video could have been about Wakaba. Off the ice, she has this neutral expression and quiet demeanor. But on the ice, she is focused and expressive and all in on every performance. Wakaba is the skater I have picked to root for. But Wakaba is not going to the 2026 Winter Olympics, like many other talented and beloved skaters. Rinko Watanabe, Yuna Aoki, Rino Matsuki, Mai Mihara. The list goes on and on. I think it is important to tell you about Wakaba Higuchi because she is one skater of many who hoped and trained to make it to the 2026 Olympics, but there are only 29 spots to go around. Which is why every skater that makes it to Milan deserves your consideration and compassion. These women have woken up before sunrise to go to a cold room and throw themselves in the air. Many of them have been injured time and time again and had to work their way back to competition over weeks, months, and years. Most of them have given up normal lives to excel at this one thing, and I truly hope they all go out on the ice and put on their best performance when it really matters. That's what I've got. Comment below which skater you are picking to win the Milano Cortina Olympics in February. Or if you've been keeping up with women's figure skating, tell me who you want to see in the next video. Hope you're having a good one. I will see you out on the ice.